There is a child inside every adult who is still waiting for a report card. Not a school report card, a life report card. A grade that finally says, you did enough. You proved yourself. You can rest now. The tragedy is that the grade never arrives because the child wasn't actually chasing achievement. The child was chasing safety. Many people believe they are ambitious, and they are. But beneath the ambition is often something much older, a quiet belief that says, if I do enough, if I achieve enough, if I become enough, then maybe I'll finally feel secure. Then maybe I'll finally feel accepted. Then maybe I'll finally feel worthy. And so the performance begins. For some people, it starts with grades. For others, it starts with being the responsible child, the helpful child, the strong child, the easy child, the child who never caused trouble, the child who made everyone proud. The role doesn't matter. What matters is the lesson. The lesson was, being myself is uncertain. Performing is safer. The child learns that certain behaviors receive approval, certain behaviors receive attention, certain behaviors receive love. Without realizing it, the child begins to confuse approval with love. But they are not the same thing. Approval says, I like what you did. Love says, I value who you are. A child who receives approval may grow into a high achiever. A child who feels deeply loved grows into someone who can rest. Many adults are still trying to earn what should have been unconditional, not because anyone intended harm, because children are constantly creating meaning from their experiences. And once the meaning becomes internalized, it starts running automatically. You can see it everywhere. The person who cannot enjoy a vacation, the person who feels guilty resting, the person who achieves one goal and immediately sets another, the person who secretly feels behind no matter how much they accomplish, the person who turns every hobby into a project, every interest into a goal, every dream into a deadline. From the outside, it looks like motivation. Inside, it often feels like exhaustion because the nervous system is carrying a burden it was never meant to carry. The burden of proving existence. Imagine carrying a backpack every day, not because you need it, because you've forgotten it's there. Years pass. Eventually, the weight feels normal. Many people are carrying a psychological backpack filled with old beliefs. I must prove myself. I must justify my existence. I must earn my place. I must become someone. And because the backpack has been there for so long, they mistake it for their personality. They call it ambition. They call it discipline. They call it drive. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is fear of wearing a suit. The difficult part is that achievement often works. You get the degree, the promotion, the recognition, the praise, the success, and for a brief moment, the child feels relief. Finally, then the feeling fades. A new goal appears, a bigger mountain, a harder challenge, a new way to prove worth. And the cycle continues. Not because you are broken, because no achievement can answer an identity question. The child is asking, am I enough? Achievement answers, you did well. Those are different conversations. One is about being, the other is about doing. Most people spend years trying to solve a being problem with doing. It never fully works. This doesn't mean goals are bad. Dreams are not the problem. Ambition is not the problem. The problem begins when achievement becomes responsible for self-worth. Then every setback becomes personal. Every failure becomes identity. Every delay becomes evidence. Evidence that maybe you aren't enough after all. The healing begins when you separate worth from performance, not intellectually, emotionally. When you realize, my achievements belong to me, but they are not me. My failures belong to me, but they are not me. My productivity belongs to me, but it is not me. There is something underneath all of it, something that existed before the achievements, before the failures, before the expectations, before the performance. The child you once were. The child who deserved love before proving anything. The child who deserved belonging before accomplishing anything. The child who was valuable before becoming useful. That child is still waiting for a message, not from the world, from you. A message that says, you don't have to keep auditioning. You don't have to keep earning your place. You don't have to keep proving your worth. You can stop performing now. Not because your dreams no longer matter, but because your worth was never dependent on them. And perhaps that is what your inner child has been waiting to hear all along.